FIFA President Gianni Infantino is facing major international backlash after abandoning a controversial $20 billion private equity proposal to sell stakes in future World Cup profits. Top FIFA executives are publicly distancing themselves from the plan, which triggered fierce global outrage and threats of a complete boycott from European governing body UEFA. The fallout has left Infantino's leadership severely shaken. Now, European officials are actively searching for a challenger ahead of next year's presidential election. Joining me now is Jonathan Wilson, football writer for The Guardian and author of the weekly Inside Football column. Thanks so much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
For viewers who haven't been following this story, what's behind the conflict between FIFA and UEFA?
I mean, this is huge. There's been essentially a cold war between the two bodies, the global governing body and the European governing body, which has really been getting on for a decade. And that's to do with money and politics and power, the usual issues. But it's been brought to a head by what happened last Tuesday, which was Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, the global body, announcing a plan to sell off 21% of the World Cup to private investment, with $20 million initially to go to each of FIFA's constituent members. That then increased to $40 million if they agree within a 7-week period. UEFA has kicked back against that, and on Thursday, all 55 UEFA members said that they would boycott all FIFA competitions until this plan is taken off the table, which is a robustness of response and a solidarity of response that is very unusual in football.
Has this ever been done before, and what did he hope FIFA would gain from the deal? Potentially even, could he have gained personally from it?
Well, that's the huge question. So there was a sort of dry run at this in 2018. It wasn't quite as dramatic as this, and that also was headed off by UEFA threatening a boycott. I think the real question to ask is, why was this brought in the way it was? So Carlos Cordero, who was a former vice president of Goldman Sachs, a very senior, very well-respected banker, he was FIFA's chief financial advisor, and he was completely in the dark. So he's resigned over this. Now, if you're presenting a plan that you think is for the good of the game, is for the good of FIFA, why would you not run it by your chief financial advisor, somebody as respected as Carlos Cordero? Why did none of your top brass within FIFA, who all now said we had no idea, why would you not run it by them? So the secrecy, I think, adds to a sense of suspicion. But we've just had a World Cup that brought in a record $15 billion. That's more than double the previous record, which was the last World Cup. So FIFA's in a very healthy place financially. Why do you need to sell off 21% of future revenues? And what comes out from FIFA, what comes out from Infantino is, it's a great way to redistribute the wealth, to give the smaller, the poorer federations cash, and they can use it to build a new stadium or improve the training of referees, all kinds of infrastructure projects. Well, FIFA's got the money. It's got $15 billion. I mean, okay, there'll be some tax on that. So it's probably got around $8 billion spare. If you're giving out 40 million, you can give out 40 million to all 211 members anyway. You don't need this investment. So this is selling off future revenues for, as Cordero said, a pretty small bump now. And the only assumption can be that money is to be distributed among the heads of FIFA, the heads of the federations, and they can do with that what they will. Maybe it's going into stadium projects, but a lot of the member associations of FIFA, I think it's fair to say their auditing processes are not that robust, and therefore the suspicion is of corruption.
As you note, it is a lucrative industry. In your opinion, can Gianni Infantino survive the backlash?
He's very damaged by this. So since he first came to power in 2016, he's been re-elected twice by acclamation. The assumption had been he'd be re-elected by acclamation again next year. Now that's clearly not going to happen. He is going to be challenged. UEFA are saying that they will continue, their phrase, to paralyze FIFA until he resigns. And if that happens, I don't see how he survives at all. Otherwise, we've got horse trading with Infantino is talking about bringing forward the expansion of the World Cup from 48 teams. It was 32 until this tournament, so 48 itself was quite a big expansion. He's talking about expanding it again to 64. Now, that may bolster his support base in Africa, in Asia, and particularly in South America. But I think realistically, he's dead in the water, and it's just negotiating his exit now and working out the timing and who the fresh candidate could be.
Jonathan Wilson, thanks so much for coming on today and breaking it all down for us.
No worries. Thank you.